The right wing continues to find itself ramming into the internal contradiction between an America First mindset and an underlying allegiance to Israel. There seems to be no way to truly dismantle this contradiction effectively with argument alone. If it was that simple, Pat Buchanan would have won the fight back in the 90s. But obviously, he didn't. So instead of a technical breakdown of all the issues surrounding Israel's relationship with America, I want to highlight a recent development which should, at the very least, highlight the undeniable and immense power of the pro-Israeli forces within our American system. The horsepower behind this play centers around a singular man, but there's actually a trio of actors which make up the heart of the chess move. Larry Ellison is the first character to introduce, and in the last few weeks, his directives should persuade even the most blue-pilled normies that something is clearly up. I'll start by clarifying that Mr. Ellison is a very, very rich man. At the time of this video, his net worth is estimated to be between $350 and $400 billion, which now makes him the second richest person in the world behind Elon Musk. He is the founder, current CTO, and former CEO of Oracle. The company, which was founded in 1977, does many things, but its primary specialty is storage and management of data. With the influence and success of his business, Larry is generally considered to be one of the Mount Rushmore figures in the history of Silicon Valley, and he's famously known to have been Steve Jobs' best friend for decades. Larry has managed to avoid much of the intense spotlight throughout his historic career, but it seems that he's now reluctantly entering it in order to forcibly reinforce the Israeli narrative.
Tell us, what is your connection to Israel?
Well, the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people, and now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them, who devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue sometimes in very difficult situations.
Did you visit Israel?
I have been to Israel. I have been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
You are an high-tech person. What do you think about Israeli startups and high-tech phenomena?
Oh well, after Silicon Valley, there's an area, Herzliya has probably got more startups than any other place other than Silicon Valley in Northern California. So we've actually acquired a number of Israeli companies. We have two CEOs at Oracle. One's name is Safra Katz, and she was born in Israel. So again, we love the country of Israel, and we'll do everything we can to support the country of Israel.
To literally nobody's surprise, Larry is an ethnically Jewish man. And though he purports to be an atheist, his behavior makes it clear that his allegiance doesn't lie in faith, but ethnicity, something that seems to be more and more undeniable. In fact, Ellison is so pro-Israel that he even offered his good friend, Benjamin Netanyahu, a seat on the board of Oracle back in 2021. He is also the largest private donor to the Israeli Defense Forces. It's safe to say that Mr. Ellison has a distinct love for a country besides America. But Larry also has a son, who happens to be the next player involved in this story, and his son has procured quite a bit of his own influence. David founded a media company in 2006, which was formerly called Skydance Productions. After a few years of operations, Skydance began fostering a relationship with Paramount Pictures back in 2009. By August of 2025, David's company had ultimately merged with Paramount Global after it acquired the parent company for $8 billion. It then officially became Paramount Skydance. And this newly formed company now oversees Paramount Pictures, Skydance Pictures, Nickelodeon Movies, Paramount Animation, Skydance Animation, CBS Studios, Paramount Television Studios, BET Studios, Showtime Studios, CBS Animation Productions, MTV Animation, Nickelodeon Animation Studio, South Park Digital Studios, Skydance Games, CBS, CBS News and Stations, CBS Sports, BET, MTV Entertainment Group, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Showtime, The CW, Philo, Awesomeness, Paramount International Networks, BET International, Nickelodeon International, Paramount Sports Entertainment, See It Now Studios, CBS Media Ventures, Paramount Licensing, the Free Press, and Skydance Media Library. This is a shocking amount of control over the media apparatus by a singular entity, especially one that's under the direct command of a Jewish family whose patriarch is the second richest man alive. Anyone wielding this much power is obviously poised to have a major effect on whatever domain they choose to execute within. But there is one last figure that needs to be introduced here, Bari Weiss. And she's important in this story primarily because just how shameless and blatant her defense for Israel is, as well as for Jews more generally. Bari Weiss is, of course, a Jewish lesbian woman in her 40s who has held a perennial commitment to Israel. Though she was born in Pennsylvania to American parents and raised in the United States throughout her entire life, the foreign nation sure seems to hold a uniquely special place in her heart. Here is a statement she gave at just 18 while still a high school student. One of the purposes of the program is to try and answer the question why a Jew in Pittsburgh should care about what a Jew in Jerusalem is going through. It's to plant a seed of Israel advocacy. After high school, she then spent a gap year in Israel on a United Synagogue Youth Fellowship. The program exists to send young Jews to Israel, where it prepares them to be shills for the nation during their times in college and beyond. True to the mission, as a sophomore at Columbia, she joined a coalition of Jewish students which organized to get one of her professors fired as a result of, you guessed it, anti-Semitism allegations. She even lived in Israel and worked at Haaretz following her college graduation as a Dorrit Fellow. Bari then continued her journalism career working for Tablet magazine, which explicitly focuses on Jewish culture and news, yet is an American company. Seems normal. Eventually, she worked her way up to the New York Times, where she famously resigned in 2020 after bravely writing an open letter criticizing the intellectual echo chamber there, but not before writing a book in 2019 creatively titled How to Fight Anti-Semitism. She then launched her own outlet called Common Sense, and this ultimately morphed into the Free Press. Weiss has literally described herself as a Jewish center-left on most things person, and that pretty much tracks, because everything she does seems to be either left-wing or Jewish. Bari has been largely irrelevant in recent years. You couldn't exactly make the explicit argument that the Free Press is some sort of failure, but she has almost no credibility with any actual figures with true influence in the culture. And yet the Ellison family took a particular interest in her. After David Ellison's merger with Paramount, he decided to do something a little bizarre. He purchased the Free Press, co-founded by Weiss, for $150 million. And not only did he do that despite no objective basis for that price point, but he then decided to make Bari the editor-in-chief of CBS News. And her position also manages to circumvent the typical hierarchy of the conglomerate, and she instead reports directly to David Ellison. The sequence of these moves and the objective it looks to achieve is about as blatant as can be imagined. Assume control over one of the largest media corporations in the world, essentially pay off someone who is already hopelessly devoted to your same cause, and position them in the exact role to disseminate whatever narrative you, your father, and Netanyahu deem appropriate. And this is bad enough on its own. However, Larry made another move which removes all doubt behind the motive of his actions, if there even was any at all. After years of complaints over TikTok's national security threat to the US due to its data storage being in China, the US government has decided to now facilitate the sale of TikTok to American investors. And Oracle will be handling the company's data security and the management of its algorithm. And another enormously influential and wealthy Jew, Michael Dell, was also included in the acquisition group. But yet, what exactly about TikTok has tagged it as such a pressing issue? Is it really just over national security?
Okay. And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is
Followers.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And You know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot, and I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends, or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
And since the takeover by the US interests, the censorship of anti-Semitism on the site has quickly ramped up. For instance, the juice box emoji is often coded to refer to the Jews. And almost immediately, the use of the emoji was banned. And there is much more to discuss regarding Ellison, especially his desire for governmental and technological control over the population, as well as the very real tools he has to actually implement that. But I want to keep this specific to the allegiance we see between powerful American Jews and Israel.
Again, I think my job as the head of the ADL is to call balls and strikes, not to play for the red team, not to play for the blue team. The only team I play for is the Jewish team.
Many normies mock the proposition that people conspire in any regard, and they're even less receptive to the idea that there are those who would specifically meet behind closed doors to propagate an agenda. It's truly hard for me to revert back to that mindset, but I very much hope that this tentacle-like control over media and tech displayed here is significant enough to at least warrant concern from anybody paying attention, especially given the fact that the executors of these captured institutions have all expressed a distinct political motive. What is most important to understand about this organized activity is that it doesn't actually need an explicit conspiracy to continue operating in the same direction. But if you do want some proof, here are recently leaked email exchanges between the current Israeli ambassador to Germany and Larry regarding the sitting Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his viability as a friend to Israel. To anyone even remotely red-pilled, we know this game already. But to persuade those less fluent in our language, you need to understand that the constitutional beliefs of these people ultimately determine their behavior. The logic of their operating system will always dictate the direction they choose to proceed, without necessarily needing a meeting to discuss it. Ellison's love for his ethnic roots has caused him to prioritize the well-being of the foreign country which houses such a demographic. That's a natural progression of his values. The child he fathered has this devotion not just to that same group, but to his dad as well. So it's obvious David will act in a way which reinforces that same vision. And so this type of mindset will determine the outcome of actions without any requirement for collusion. Obviously, the collusion is happening and is provable. But independent of that, when you look at someone like Bari Weiss and her career, and the consistent alignment with Jewish and Israeli causes, who would be surprised when she continues to act in support of those issues? Look at the game Plinko. In the game, a ball is dropped from the top of a wall that has pins spread out along it. And after dropping the ball, you wait to see where it lands, and that position has a score associated with it. Many people view the place the ball falls as mostly random or dependent on its entry point. But that's not really the case. And it's certainly not the case if you were to adjust the locations of the pins. Think of these pins as the internal operating system of people. The ball acts as any daily event or problem, and the pins are the opinions and predispositions of people, which filters their reaction to whatever externality they face. And this analogizes the overall concept I'm describing well. Because if the pins are slotted in a specific way, then it doesn't matter where the ball enters, because the place it falls will always trend towards the same few landing spots. And soon enough, it stops looking like a random occurrence. And once you recognize this, once you can see where these pins are fixated, you can begin to predict with near certainty where the ball will go. And that's because these people all happen to have their pins lined up in the exact same way. And now it's becoming undeniably obvious just how the ball will land every single time.